going back to being at Washington, this is not a shot by any means, but when you're like obviously playing more at Washington, like that Twitter,
Oh,
like you do one thing wrong and the world's burning.
yeah, no doubt. Like that was like since I wasn't a draft pick and all this stuff, everybody's just always calling for me to not play. Fucking he's shitty. Like even when I make a good play, he's still shitty. And my mindset, I was way more wrapped up into the idea of being like a fucking like, I've told you before, like my goal was like to be like a poor man's Luke Kuechly, like be one of the better linebackers in the fucking league.
Mm-hmm.
So like your mental is just super. I want to be a fucking. I'm all football. I'm all football player. It wasn't until I got to like Tennessee and you go back to kind of taking a backseat to the starter and kind of like this could be the end. Like let me enjoy it. And your mindset kind of shifts a little bit, and then your perspective kind of shifts because you realize like, okay, I'm gonna be okay outside of like not being like a star player, or I'm just not able to get back in that limelight to where I kind of had to like deal with the fact that okay, I could be a journeyman these next few years. Then we get the podcast going, and then you kind of just see it from a whole different lens. But yeah, you're
Yes,
totally right. Like you're playing all the time and you're checking. You care so much about the product you put on film to where like we've talked about it where like my full identity was being an NFL player. And when that gets attacked, knowing all the work that you put in, like hard fucking work that you put in, and then people just just have lazy, easy comments to judge, and that just affects you a lot more. So yeah, you're right. It's like a combination of playing a lot, and being in a media market like that, to where the team was never, it's kind of like one of those teams that their last Super Bowl was in the '90s, I believe. But
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. That stuff is fucking hard, dude. When it is the for me, it's always when people come at your work ethic of like this dude's lazy, he didn't take his rehab
hmm
seriously, and that's why he's injured again. Like those are the ones because I mean, if all you got, and for the longest time, all I had was football. Like that, it's like literally, it's everything to you.
yeah,
And so the work ethic point was like my mainstay. Like if I just worked harder, the better. And when that's attacked, you definitely feel some type of way. Or everybody has their different this keyword trigger when it comes to that stuff. And it's just it can be frustrating. But when you do zoom out a little bit and allow yourself to like even as simple as like laughing at yourself, like just being
mm,
like some dude on my Instagram yesterday was spouting off about how karma's come to get me. And I was like, hey, you're right. Like, my life fucking rips. I have like the best life ever. Like, I appreciate it. And he was like, no, you tore your ACL, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, like, this dude's just sad, man. This dude's just a sad, sad boy.
yeah, trying to like punch up and pull somebody down into like it's like yeah, you know how it is. Like we've had so many conversations on it to where it is you when you zoom out a little bit, which it's easier to do when you have something else going on, because you're right. Like if you don't have anything else going on and all you have going on is ball, it's like hard to zoom out because you fucking care so much. And again, like you said, like in the off seasons, like you I mean, we've been around all these guys. No matter where we train, no matter where we go, you try to find like-minded people who sit there and you obsess over how do you get that 1% better all the time, and you're like grinding all year long. And then when you go and poke your head in the comments and everything else, and you kind of see stuff going against you, it kind of hits you in the gut if you don't have like a zoomed out perspective of it all, because you're like in the box.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like you said, when you're around other people and you see it, like when you're able to kind of like not disengage, but like allow yourself to take a step back and like kind of see everything from a bigger picture standpoint. Things obviously the weights of things aren't as heavy as you thought they were. Like Saturday, I was in doing the rehab stuff, and some kid, I'm not going to say his name, but he's a young kid still in college, and he had the same injury I did, and his attitude was just like, he was super down in the dumps and super like you could just tell in his mind he's fighting all these demons, just the way he's talking and the way he's acting. And it's like, man, like you can't just look at him and like kind of put your hand on his shoulder and be like, hey, like you're gonna be okay. Like it's all good, dude. Like
Yeah.
this is gonna pass. Like you're gonna get through it. Like, and it's obviously easier for me because I'm 31 years old and I've been in the league for 9 years. But like this kid's 22 and his world's come crashing down in his head. And it's just like, buddy, like you're 22, like you're going to heal so much faster than everybody else.
hmm
And you're going to be just fine. But like just seeing this dude, I just feel bad thinking about him because he was like just so in the dumps, just had a tough attitude. I hope he gets better fast because it's just not a good place to be being there before.
Yeah, and it's like how you're explaining to where the shoes that you're in, looking at them. It's one of those things like when guys are first going through stuff, you can't teach experience. Like you can say everything you want to a person until you're like blue in the face and try and talk about perspective. But until somebody like goes through it, like you're a prime example. I mean, your two surgeries are like a couple years apart. Like I'm sure this Taylor now probably looks back at the old Taylor, and now the reason you're probably in higher spirits is because you have so much, you have such a different perspective. Like you're still the same guy, not same style of bank account, all that other stuff that people would love to have and be like, oh, why are you so upset, or why you take it so seriously, you're all good. But I'm sure like that, the perspective that you have now looking back at the old Taylor a couple years ago, similar guy, and you're just like, oh man, I wish I would have known all of this stuff, but you can't because you can't teach experience.
Yeah, you can't teach experience, but like there's things you can teach yourself, and it's this ability to like kind of like unpack those things, whether it's with somebody, with yourself, or reading, or having someone that you can confide in, and like being able to unpack that stuff and have like a better I don't know, mindset when it comes to most things. And if you start realizing the things you can't control, like it's just out of your hands, and you move on from that, like things just get better, and that can help in the experience, the learning curve of going through a traumatic situation like that. But yeah, you're right. Like my attitude right now, as opposed to 2 years ago when I was sitting in the same exact spot, two totally different things. Like you and I went through a month and a half of me not even responding to text because I was just so much in the dumps.
And then you would pretend to be Jerry Ainsworth when we would talk, and yeah, well, that was yeah, no,
There's no
I know
pretend.
what you
Jerry
mean.
Jerry
Yeah,
is real.
yeah, no, but I know what you mean. Like there's just two totally different like experiences through it all. But
Yeah,
this
it's a
was a
wild deal, dude.
yeah, this was a nice little unpacking.